Some knitting projects are more than just fun to make. They are simple, soothing, and when you wear them, it feels like being wrapped in a warm hug. Today I'll share some of my favorite patterns that are both relaxing to knit and comfortable to wear, including a couple ones you might not expect. And by the end of this video, you will have a list of projects that will provide comfort anytime you need it. Let's start with knitting patterns that feel like the ultimate comfort pieces, big shawls and wraps. They are usually simple to knit when they consist of rather basic stitches like all over stockinette or garter stitch, and you can take these projects and perfectly knit on them while listening to your favorite audiobook, show, or a movie, for example. And once they are finished, they drape around your shoulders like a blanket. It's like comfort that you can carry with you everywhere you go. The first pattern that I would like to talk about is called the Fleur Shawl, and it is a pattern by Espace Tricot, and it is also a free pattern, which is always great. I have made this pattern twice for myself, so one for me and one for my daughter, and this is my version here. As you might be able to tell, this is a simple garter stitch shawl that includes these cute little baubles here, but there are only 4 rows of baubles in total, so those are the only rows where you have to pay a bit more attention, and besides those you can simply knit garter stitch, so back and forth all the time. I absolutely love this pattern. I love to wear my shawl and I also really enjoyed knitting it. I knit this with my own hand-dyed yarn, so this is a 100% German merino wool that I naturally dyed myself using cochineal. And you might be able to tell, can you see that? Yeah, I think you can, that my shawl has a crescent shape and the original pattern is written to be a triangular shape. I followed some modifications from Jackie from the Knitting a Good Yarn podcast. That is an amazing podcast. If you have not seen it yet, I am going to link it for you in the description box. And I'm also going to link the modifications that she made on her Ravelry project page for you if you would like to modify this pattern to be a crescent shape as well. Another very beautiful shawl pattern that I would love to knit in the future is called I Smell Snow, and it is a design by Melody Hoffman. Now this pattern contains 2 different colors, but you are only knitting with 1 color at a time because you switch colors once you are halfway done with this shawl. It is also a garter shawl, so you are knitting back and forth all the time, and it contains these cute little eyelets, but I think those are only done every 4 or 6 rows, it looks like, so not very difficult to do overall. I assume the eyelets are created by doing a yarn over in 1 row and then doing a knit 2 together in the next row. So definitely not a difficult project. Next up are scarves and cowls. These are the projects that I think of when I want something very mindless and repetitive without being too boring. Just stitch after stitch, row after row, and this almost feels like a meditation to me. But I think there is also a very fine line between having a mindless, relaxing project and one that feels a little bit boring, especially since scarves are naturally very long, so you are doing the same thing over and over again. And I find that one way to break up this repetitiveness is to use a number of different colors, like in this design here, which is called Konpeito Candy by Hiromi Glover. It is part of the book 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn from Line that I have here. The book was very kindly gifted to me by Line, so thank you very much. And as you might have already seen, the Konpeito Candy pattern is on the cover of the book. I think this is a very fun project because you change the color of the yarn every row. And it is also, of course, a great way to use up leftover yarn. So that is for sure a pattern that I would love to knit myself in the future. On the Ravelry project page, it is stated that the pattern itself is a 4-row repeat, but it is easy to memorize and fun to knit, at least according to the Ravelry page and the notes there. And there is also a cowl pattern that I wanted to show you. This one is called Hygge Hybernation by Brome Fields, and it is knitted with a very thick yarn. She used a super bulky yarn and a US 17, which corresponds to 12mm needles. So I assume this piece knits up super quickly. And it is done by simple ribbing, so you are knitting and purling all the time without, having to know many different stitches. So I think if you are more of a beginner knitter and if you know how to cast on, bind off, knit and purl, you can totally make this cowl. I think it looks just so cozy, and I imagine it would be wonderful to put on a cold winter's day. Of course, we cannot talk about comfort without mentioning blankets. The progress on a blanket can feel small because it is such a huge project, but I think it also feels so rewarding at the same time. Simple stitches, big panels, and the joy of watching it grow. Stitch after stitch, row after row. And then the reward, wrapping yourself in a blanket that you made with your own hands. It's the most literal version of a knitted hug, and it never gets old. One blanket pattern that I wanted to show you is called the Sorgenfri Blanket by Gyuri Pageson. This is a beautiful design that reminds me a lot of my favorite sweater, which is the sweater number 28 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. If you have a look at the stitch pattern here and then have a look at the picture of the blanket, you probably will also think that the stitch pattern does look familiar. And let me tell you, I absolutely loved to knit this sweater, so I think that knitting this blanket would be equally as fun. It also contains this garter stitch border, and I think it's a super simple pattern. You will only have to know how to, again, cast on, bind off, knit and purl, and then you can make something super cozy for you to snuggle up under on a cold day in the fall or winter months. I think this one would also look very cozy and cute with an added strand of a silk mohair. I could totally see myself making this blanket in the hopefully not too distant future. And I also wanted to show you one of my blankets that I am knitting on, or not knitting, because it is a crochet project, so I am crocheting on, and this is it here. Let me see, I am also going to stand up and give you a better look at this blanket because it has gotten quite big at this point. I have started this project, I think in 2020 already, and it is a long-term whip, but an intentional long-term whip because I only add to it from time to time whenever I feel like it. So as you might be able to tell, it consists of these cute little granny squares with alternating with the neutral white color one and the colorful ones. And this is the Battenberg Blanket by Sandra Paul from the blog Cherry Heart, and I love this blanket. I love this pattern. It is a free pattern and it even comes with video tutorials here on YouTube. So if you are not an experienced crocheter, don't worry, you can totally make this pattern. It is not difficult at all. There is one video that teaches you how to do the granny square and another one that teaches you how to join them together. Let me give you a look how it looks from behind. So this is the join here, and I think it looks just so cozy, and I love to snuggle up under this blanket. This is also a very special project for me because I am knitting with my own hand-spun yarn. So all of the different colors that you can see here have all been dyed using natural dyes. And I think this is just such a wonderful representation of how vibrant and colorful natural dyes can truly look. And yeah, I highly recommend that you give this pattern a try. Almost forgot to mention, if you would like to give natural yarn dyeing a try yourself, I have a ton of different resources to help you get started. I think the best way to get started is to probably get my free guide on how to dye your first skein of yarn step by step. I am going to link that one in the description box for you. And yeah, let's hope that you find natural yarn dyeing just as enjoyable as I do. Then there are cozy sweaters and cardigans. Not every sweater feels like a warm hug because some are just naturally more structured and fitted, but the oversized ones truly do. Depending on whether you are a beginner knitter or have a little bit more experience already, knitting a sweater or cardigan might not feel as mindless to you. But I think that if you know the basic stitches and you are willing to be a bit more focused on in the beginning, if you're knitting a top-down construction, so you usually have to be a bit more mindful when it comes to shaping the neckline and doing the increases for the yoke. But if you are choosing a project that consists of very simple stitches, for example an all-over stockinette project, and once you are past the point of where you've split for the sleeves and the body and are just knitting straight down, then this can be an absolutely wonderful, comforting project in my opinion. One pattern that I wanted to talk about is called the Late Checkout Sweater, and it is a design by Veronika Lindberg, also known as Kudo the Kika. Now this is a top-down drop shoulder design that is very oversized, and it also comes with a full video tutorial here on YouTube that I'm going to link for you. So I think this is absolutely a mindless project, since you have someone keeping you company and showing you exactly what to do next in the video tutorial itself. Veronika Lindberg also has knitted this pattern several times herself. So as you can see here, she has created different versions in different colors using different yarns. And I think this is also a great source of inspiration if you're not sure which colorway or yarn to choose for your sweater. Another very cozy garment pattern that I would like to show you is called the Elvira Poncho by Pernille Larsen from Knitting for Olive. Now, of course, Pernille Larsen used her own yarn line. She knitted this poncho holding one strand of the Knitting for Olive merino together with one strand of the soft silk mohair. This is a pattern that I would not recommend to a complete beginner because there are some tricky parts in it, including that the stitch pattern is charted only. So you will have to be able to read charts if you want to knit this design. The poncho is knitted from the top down, so you start with the ribbed neckband. Afterwards, you work the textured pattern and shape the poncho with increases both at the shoulders and at mid-front and mid-back. The body is then worked to the desired length with further shaping at the mid-front and mid-back before you finish it with a ribbed edge. So I think this one looks super cozy and I would love to knit this pattern in the future. Next up, let's talk about a couple of projects you would maybe not expect to be part of a video like this, but I think especially those little projects can bring just as much joy and comfort compared to a large project like a blanket. For example, if you think about slippers as a knitting pattern, those don't take a lot of time to create, but they are so comforting and warm to put on once they're done. Or a hot water bottle cover, for example, as well. It is easy to knit and rather quick, I think, and gives you so much comfort and joy during those long, cold winter days. The pattern that I wanted to show you is a pair of socks, and they are called the Calm Down Socks by Isabella Clark from the 100 Acre Wool YouTube channel that I'm also going to link for you. I made these socks earlier this year as a test knit, and I absolutely love the way they turned out. Let me see if I can show you. So they have this super long cuff that are almost a bit like a leg warmer that you can scrunch up when wearing. And I chose to knit mine with 2 different colors, so one for the cuff, one for the toe, and the rest of the sock is a different color. Isabella designed her pattern to be knitted with 1 strand of Nutiden yarn, which is an unspun yarn from the Swedish company Honor och Air. But unspun yarn is very fragile and it breaks really easily. And since I truly wanted a comforting knitting project at that time, I decided to use an unspun yarn as well. I also used Nutiden yarn, but I held mine double, and this gives it a lot more strength, and you do not have to deal with the yarn breaking all the time. Besides that, as you can see, this is a super long ribbed cuff, and then the foot is done in stockinette stitch, and you also have this heel flap and gusset. I absolutely love these socks. I have not worn them a ton yet because then it got really warm, but we are entering into fall now, and I think they are going to be absolutely perfect for those crisp fall mornings. And another smaller pattern that I wanted to show you is this one called Handed Yes, Fingered No, Mitts That Fit by Ellen M. Silver. This is another free pattern, and I have knitted this pattern 4 times so far. I have made 2 pairs of mitts for each of my girls, and this is 1 pair. So this is a sock yarn that I used, held double because the pattern calls for an Aran weight yarn. And this is Mondim by the Portuguese company Retrosaria Rosa Pomar that I purchased in Lisbon when we were on vacation there last year. My daughter picked out this colorway. It is called 214 Variegated, and I absolutely love the way those came out. They are super cute, and I would love to make a pair for myself actually, but let's see. I think they would also fit me. I would also maybe lengthen them just a couple of centimeters or inches, but I think those are so wonderful and warm. Let me see if I can get them off now. Okay, so what else? This is an all over broken rib pattern. Let me see if I can show you. So broken rib basically means that you do ribbing for 1 round, so alternating between knit and purl stitches, and the other round you are simply knitting all the stitches. And I am a big fan of broken rib. I love the way it looks, and it also gives a decent amount of stretch, so I think this is a very, very cool pattern. So for me, the best knitting projects give us comfort twice. Once while we are making them, and then again over time, again and again whenever we wear or use them. I would love to know which knitting patterns feel like a warm hug to you. Please share in the comments so that we can all inspire each other. And if you enjoyed this video, you will probably also like a similar video that I did recently called 10 Relaxing Knitting Projects for a Calm Mind. I'm going to put it on the screen for you so you can get the cozy inspiration going. Until next time, happy knitting, bye!